listening to the Becoming More Me podcast with me, Teresa Lear Levine. You're already enough. But if you're anything like me, you thrive when you're stretching and developing yourself, creating more of the person you feel called to be. This podcast is here to inspire and support you. Let's release the negative, reinforce the positive, and elevate our vibe together as we tap into our limitless potential to transform and grow. Hello, and happy October. I can't believe it's October already. And I also can't believe that we've gotten so many episodes of this podcast up already. This is like therapy for me, honestly, guys. I mean, there's so many things that I'm able to work through as I convey them to you guys, just like conversationally. And I would love to hear more about how you're enjoying the podcast. And I don't mean like, do you like it? I mean, like, how do you listen to it? Do you listen to it in your car? Do you listen to it while you're doing chores? Do you listen in the shower? Like, what is your favorite mode of listening? I personally enjoy podcasts. So you all know, I'm like a huge audio learner. I think I have, oh goodness gracious, do we need to check the Audible? I am an Audible addict. And, there's something about using a certain platform and getting hooked on it, because it's like, I don't want to listen to stuff on like other apps, because I like the notes that I'm able to take and keep and the organizational things that I've gotten, working for me on Audible. So I was looking today because I don't know, like if you do Audible, like, how like things come, it's horrible trying to show you on here, so I won't. But like whatever you've listened to most recently is like at the top of your library. Well, I also have genres and different collections and lists and things, but I mainly just stick to like their main library. So whatever you listen to last is at the top. But sometimes I'll go through and I'll be looking for things maybe for a specific, topic I'm presenting on, or for my own learning or application of the material, or just because I enjoyed it and I want to listen to it again. So I had a whole bunch of stuff that like I had already read or whatever, like sitting at the top, and it was driving me bonkers. So today I went and I pulled all the unfinished stuff to the top of my library list. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 unfinished, but started books. That's how my crazy mind works. A little ADHD over here, guys, don't you think? But I love it. And, some of the books, I notice it takes me a really long time to work through books that actually require me to do exercises, because I won't let myself just listen to the exercises. I want to do them. It's really important to me to do the work. As with anything, I think that's one of the things that gets most often overlooked when you're somebody like me, like an EFT practitioner or a therapist, and it can be anything, even people, health and fitness trainers or whatever. It's easy to talk the talk. It's not as easy to walk the walk. And it's not that we don't know what we need to do, but we're all human. And we all have certain amounts of self-sabotage and psychological reversal, lack of belief in ourselves, doubts, confidence issues, all sorts of things, even people that have been working on it for a long, long time. So yeah, there's that, but I just found it humorous as I brought them up. But several of the books are ones that, do require me to do things. Some of them like with my eyes closed or something, so I can't do them while I'm driving, because I love listening to audiobooks when I drive. And same with podcasts. And that was my point as I'm babbling on here, was that podcasts are normally like a light break for me, because I know that I didn't tune into it you tune into a podcast because you like the topic, or you just enjoy the podcast or the conversations that tend to happen on that particular show. But when I read a book, it's like I'm looking to take something away from it, or I want to make sure I don't miss something, or I really want to get all the aspects of the story. When I listen to a podcast, if like my kids interrupt me with a question or whatever, and I don't pause it and I miss 30 seconds or a minute, it's not usually the end of the world. So I like those for times when I feel like my mind has enough going on and I'm just looking for something light, something that, makes my day better, maybe contribute something awesome to it, but that I'm not like depending on getting anything in particular out of, if that makes sense. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just my weird brain. But I hope that part of the reason why you listen to this show is because you honor your weird brain too, and you feel some of these commonalities too. I September was a doozy, guys. It was a doozy. Now, some of the most recent shows on here have been some of the interviews that I did for different summits that I participated in. So that was a really large part of my month. And I was really lucky also to get to do some interviews with, I said it on the interview, but getting to interview Megan Eggleston as my first guest was really important to me. And getting to, have that come to fruition was something that meant a lot to me. And then, getting to interview Jenna with the breath work and just nice complimentary techniques, just such a nice way to begin the interviewing process on this show. And I'm really grateful for that. And apparently I didn't turn my notifications off, but hey, it is, it's one of those repeating number times as I'm recording this. It's 5:55. It's the evening. And I do love seeing that. So I will be grateful that my notification just pinged. It wasn't because it was 5:55. I don't ever do notifications or anything that would actually alert me to the fact that it's a repeating number time. Like if you guys follow me, I'm always posting, screenshots of the clock or my Apple Watch or the amount of time my workout took. It was like 33 minutes, 33 seconds, and whatever, like all these repeating things. But it's not like I set a timer and I'm like, hey, timer, go off in 33 minutes and 33 seconds so that I can capture that. It's not synchronous to me or serendipitous or intuitive or spirit guidance if you're pointing yourself to it with your own tools. I find it spirit guided when it just happens on you. And, there are some days when it happens on me dozens of times and it's just so cool. And that's why for me, that's one of the signs that I lean into. So anyway, September, woohoo, it was crazy. I think I've mentioned this on another show before, or at least in other places where I pop in, but, we have 4 kids, 4 boys, and this year we have 5 schools. So my preschooler, they made so many weird changes with preschool as the year got ready to get started. And I thought we were like good to go. I thought we had like this awesome, 3-day a week setup where the days were actually like almost as long as my regular kids' school days, a little shorter. I was like, cool. It's like perfect for drop off and pick up. Plus I get like 3 decent days to work and be productive and all that kind of stuff and actually really enjoy the kids being at school. And then it was like a week or so before school started, and we find out that not enough families were interested. There's only 5 families that are going to the school. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It's wonderful. I love it. But there wasn't enough interest in that longer day and the 3-day preschool setup to continue with it. So that dropped back to 2 days, and it also cut an hour and a half off of the teaching time each of those days. So it's like, crap, I was really kind of depending on that work time. I have more time with that during the summer with sitters coming over and things. So I scurried and I ended up getting a spot miraculously because I turned one down earlier in the year when I thought I had everything figured out at the same preschool cooperative that my high schooler went to. Now, we didn't do any cooperatives for preschool in between him and this one because there was not much time to cooperate. There wasn't much time to just go into the classroom and work and be with the kids because of the, younger ones at home and so on. But pretty easy thing to do with the oldest and with the youngest when you don't have other kids, as far as the oldest is concerned, which it was because there was almost 5 years between my oldest and my husband, Jeff, and my first child. So we had some time to do things like that. So yeah, really cool. We landed that spot and that's been working out well. But so I thought I had a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a Tuesday, Thursday gig lined up. And then right before that school started, they decided that they were going to do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I was like, oh my goodness. So he's double booked on Thursdays and he doesn't have anything on Mondays, but that's all right. Cause it's actually kind of nice just to have what we call our Mommy and Jordan Day and be able to do our thing. And he's never been to school before. This is we we always joke and we're like, okay, so we got no school last year, and this year we're just making up for it by sending him to two schools. So we'll see if we can make up the difference. But he does love it, and there's different things. The schools are very different environment, different class numbers, different ways of going through the day. So I love it. I love that he's getting all of that exposure to all of these new and different ways of doing things, and I think that's really awesome. So I was kind of digressing in that September's been a doozy because 4 kids, 5 schools, and there's this national bus shortage. I'm sure you guys have heard about it if you have kids that are school age, because I mean, it's a national bus shortage. It's not like it's just in our neck of the woods. And it's been mayhem. So imagine 4 kids, 5 schools, and 3 of them are in the same like school system. So elementary school starts first, earliest in the day. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. My nose itches. Sorry for watching the video. I'm like vigorously itching my nose. Ugh. I hate it when that happens. Anyway, high school starts first, and then middle school, and then elementary school. And the preschool has nothing to do with the school district. So it's kind of like on its own schedule. And it kind of overlaps with some of the other times, which makes it like, if I were driving them all to school, I'd have to be sometimes 2 places at once, which is impossible. But with the driver shortage, that's kind of what happens. But even more fun than that is that you don't get to find out whether your kid has a bus until sometimes after the bus would have normally already come. So like, I thank my lucky stars that I am an entrepreneur, that I do work from home, and that my schedule is flexible. But that doesn't mean that I have the time I've been giving up over these last few weeks, because I shit you not, 5 hours in the car most days. My kids don't go to school any more than 7 miles from our house. So today, for instance, quarter tank of gas, and it was like it was a little over 4.5 hours in the car. And there were 2 buses. So I had to get my middle schooler to school and my elementary schooler to school. And I had to pick both of them up. And we didn't find out about the elementary schooler until we'd already waited at the bus stop, because his bus wasn't listed on the impacted list. I had to call the school. They're like, oh, we put it on Twitter. I'm like, Jesus, how many places do I need to check to find out if a bus is coming? And with the middle schooler, I knew. So I was actually able to plan that. I knew at like 5:30 this morning. So he doesn't need to leave until like 7:30. So 2 hours notice, and I wake up early. So not the biggest deal, but here's the thing. I like routine, and this has shown me how much it really like messes with my enjoyment of life in general when my routine gets messed with. And all I can think is that, so I have flexibility in my schedule, even if it's not flexibility that like I want to give up. I mean, I've had to cancel client appointments. I've had to rearrange all sorts of things. I've had to cancel personal appointments, doctor's appointments, all sorts of stuff has had to get rearranged, moved around. I've missed, important work time and deadlines and all sorts of stuff that I just drives me absolutely batty, but I'm able to do it, is the point. Now, there's all sorts of people out there right now that are starting new jobs, or that are trying desperately to hang on to their jobs, or that, have been in jobs forever, but their job just doesn't have that flexibility. And I can only imagine the way that they are coping with this, if they even are really coping with it. And how many kids are just put in positions where like they're being left alone, or they're having to let themselves in, or, all those things. My grandfather used to always, because when my mom went back to work, when my parents split, when I was in 4th grade or so, I would have to let myself in sometimes after school until my mom would get home. It was never very long. I didn't feel like, but my grandfather always referred to me as a latchkey child. That was, I guess, the term for kids that were alone in that time, because it was uncommon, but it's really quite common these days. But it's also, it's not something that we can even plan for. My elementary schooler and my preschooler get to sleep in the latest. But if I have to drive my middle schooler to school, I oftentimes have to wake them up earlier, or I have to leave a note that my elementary schooler can read, but my preschooler can't, saying, I left your breakfast on the table and I'll be back in, you never even know how long. Because here's the other part with the whole bus shortage. You have all those people driving. So it's really dangerous and unsafe the way the lines are forming around the schools for people to drop off and pick up because there are so many cars dropping off and picking up. And, like I said, my kids don't go to school very far from my house. So none of them would normally take me more than a 15-minute drive to get there or to get back, half-hour round trip. But oftentimes I'm waiting to get into the parking lot or to get out of the parking lot for anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. And that's where all this time's coming from. It's just sitting. I seriously had to have like my massage therapist spend my whole session on my hip flexor. And I hadn't even thought of it until I got in there. And he was like, oh, yeah, normally we see this with like truck drivers, people that sit in traffic a lot, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, hey, that is me right now. That's my life. I am just stop and go traffic, parking the car half the time because you're sitting there for so long, just waiting in these lines. But I'm trying to be conscious of that at least so that I can take my foot off of the gas or the brake and, just sit and maneuver my body around, stretch a little bit, that kind of thing. But it just brings me back to, so, I'm an EFT Master Practitioner. I know how to turn the switches off in my nervous system. I know when I'm going like batty about something and I need to bring it down, like I know how to help myself make that happen. And so many other people don't. And like I can just see it as I am in the lines and everything else, just the stress on people's faces. And I can feel it. I mean, I'm an empath and I just like, you feel that energy surrounding you. That drains me so much. I said to my husband today, I'm like, these days when I don't know if I'm driving or not, so I can't plan, or I have plans and then my plans have to get changed. And then I'm sitting in that energy and I'm stop and go and stop and go. And like, it kills me I drive an enormous van. So like filling the gas tank is, it's fine. Like we handle it and it gets filled whenever it needs to. And that's a blessing, but it's still like, geez, like quarter of a tank of gas, just driving 2 kids to and from school today. Like that's ridiculous. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for the bank account. It's not good for anything. And, it's like my kids joke and they're like, oh yeah, mommy's taking another trip to nowhere. And I had to reassure them today. I'm like, it's a very important trip. It's to take you to school so that you can learn. And, that's valuable. And yeah, I start and end at the same place and I don't get out of the car, but, I'm blessed to be able to do this and to have 4 healthy children to take to and from studies and things like that. Yes, it's frustrating. And, by the end of the day today, the kids are all, oh, can we go home? And I'm like, no, we have one more brother to pick up or, whatever. And like, oh, like, I don't love it either, guys. I don't, but trying to make the most of it. So, for all of you other busy moms out there that are working through this, I know it sucks, but, I'm trying to look at the upside of it because there's nothing else that's doing any good to look at right now. So, and I know there's a million different reasons why this is happening. And I'm hoping that it comes to an end soon. But in the meantime, I'm just going to count my blessings that we can do what we need to do to get the kids where they want to go. And boy, it really does kind of make me miss last year when everything was virtual and I didn't need to leave the house at all. Kind of like the kid going to 2 preschools. This almost feels like it's making up for drive time. And I don't need to ever make up for that time I didn't spend in the car. It's not something that I miss. So I've tried to be very conscious about making sure I take time to tap. In fact, I do a lot of my tapping in the car, kind of like reading the audiobooks, because, you can very easily do your setup statement. And gosh, today, like I was so irritated about, not finding out about my elementary schooler's bus in the normal way. And also not until he would have already been on the bus. And that just really frustrated me. So, I'm tapping on the way to school, even though I'm so frustrated with this bus situation, I love, accept, and forgive myself. Even though this just feels completely insane, I love, accept, and forgive myself. And I was kind of cursing my head off and doing everything under my breath because I didn't need anybody else in my car to hear me. But you can do visual tapping, you can do silent tapping, you can do loud tapping, you can, really beat those points if you need to. And I have found that very helpful to do some rounds of tapping while I'm driving. And sometimes they're not even related to that kind of frustration. I work on my stuff in the car because that's a lot of time to be spending with no feeling of fulfillment, I mean, yes, it's fulfilling to be able to take care of my kids, but that's a lot of hours. Like at the end of the week, Monday through Friday, that's upwards of 20 hours in the freaking car. Like, do you know how much stuff I could do that would just make so much bigger of an impact if I weren't in the car? That's all I can tell myself. So I feel for any of you that are going through that right now. And if any of you are people that normally communicate with me more on social and you're like, where the heck did Teresa go? It's like, I'm in the car. So I'm not texting, and sometimes I call, but usually not when I have kids in the car, which I often do, even if it's just the preschooler that's riding along. He likes to dominate my phone conversations. So it's a little isolating. Unless I get in the car alone. When I'm in the car alone, I love talking on the phone, but I'm not much of a phone talker. How about you guys? Do I talk on the phone? I feel kind of bad saying that. There's some people I love talking on the phone with, and I love a good long phone conversation, but that's a luxury. Like, I don't give myself that very often. My mom and I talked for like 70 minutes on Friday night, and it was amazing. But I was like legit running around the outside of my house, hiding in nooks and crannies so that people wouldn't find me. Because I was like, I want this conversation. I want it to be mine. I don't want a kid interrupting it and, taking my mom time. This is mine right now. So my husband finally found me. I was like, like ducked in between a bay window and another window. And, I looked like I was drowning my sorrows because I was drinking a big green glass bottle, but it was Pellegrino. It was just mineral water. Oh, should have been something else, but it had been quite a week. But no, seriously, it's kind of funny today. Today was National Cinnamon Bun Day. And my husband's so cute with things like that. He always like brings us treats and things like that. And he was trying to get my middle schooler Jonah to guess what day it was because he loves cinnamon buns. And so finally I start like looking on my phone, how like every day is like 10 different national something days. And so today was also National Vodka Day, National Taco Day. There were several others, but those were the ones worth remembering. So, and it was cinnamon bun day. So he had gone and gotten like, honestly, like the most delicious cinnamon buns at this like Mr. Chips, I think it was called, in DC. And so we all got to snack on those after we got home. Oh, they were delicious. They were enormous too. Like we all ate like a third maybe of them. And then we like covered them up for later. Like, yeah, another time, another day, but we'll get back to this. It's delicious. And the kids have just been like so pent up because like they're in school and then they're stuck in the damn car. So they're going bonkers. And I just, finally we all kind of got home from the school stuff. We ate our cinnamon bun snack. All just kind of like, here I am, recording my podcast. And I looked at my husband and I'm like, yeah, next year, let's do the National Vodka Day. That's what I need. But and then I looked at him again and I'm like, yeah, no, because I really don't even know the last time I drank vodka. So it's funny how, you go from years when, life kind of revolved around social drinking opportunities to that feeling like it's not aligned with living your best life, and how things just really change and grow and develop if you allow them to. I mean, things are going to change one way or another. So you might as well shape that change. You might as well be part of it. You might as well have a say and a structure to the things that you can contribute to, because there's so much that's going to change, whether you like it to or not, whether you're ready or not. And you just got to take the reins where and when you can. So anyway, I'm parched, so I'm going to go drink some water, even though it's National Vodka Day. And I thank you for listening. And I would love to hear whatever things came to your mind while you were listening to this episode. And for any of you out there that are dealing with this national bus shortage, I feel you. And hopefully this will all be done soon. Or maybe we can all come up with some better carpools or last minute ways of making it easier for ourselves, because our lives are busy. Our lives were already busy before all this. And it's just like there's no end to the amount that gets piled on us sometimes. But isn't it amazing how we keep on going and we keep handling it and we keep figuring it out? That's what I love about it. Like when I can look back and be like, oh yeah, hell yeah. Like it wasn't pretty, but we figured it out. And here we are on the other side. that's what I live for. So thanks again for listening. Thanks so much for listening. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend or post on social media and tag me so I can personally connect and thank you. Until next time, keep taking bold and brave action steps towards becoming more of who you want to be in this world. You are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. Keep shining your light.